Hi, everybody. I'm here with Emma and Caroline.
Yes.
How you
Hello.
doing?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. It's a beautiful day here in LA, and thank you, first of all, for participating in the Passionate Ones. So my first question is, how do we know each other?
So I met you through TikTok
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram, social media based essentially, and then I dragged her along with me.
Okay.
I was looking to watch This Man's TikToks.
Yes, and
So-
we know each other from college.
Yes.
And
We actually are not. We just kind of became close over the past month or so. So we haven't known each other for that long.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Oh,
We just kind of
interesting.
hit it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. And let's go back to the college thing. Where are you guys going to school?
We go to USC.
USC?
Mm-hmm.
Both of you?
Yes.
And what are you studying? What are you majoring?
I'm a communication major, minoring in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
narrative studies major, minor in visual culture.
Oh, interesting. So you're basically primed for this whole new world that we're living in today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Film, music, art, English, history.
Yeah.
One.
And sort of, I keep on remembering something that Andy Warhol said many, many years ago, that everyone in the future will be famous for 15 minutes. Did you know he said that?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, exactly. It would not surprise me. So we were talking about like your education, and then we talked about Andy Warhol.
Mhm.
Okay. Need to ask you the most important question, and that is, where during this whole COVID epidemic how has it affected your not only day-to-day life, but being students, and now reflecting upon back how everything is sort of a virtual class for you?
Right.
Can you explain how that has affected your personal, professional careers?
Yes. So I'll start, I guess.
Do
But
you mind? Yeah, go ahead.
for like education purposes, I'm used to being in a classroom. I'm used to like going and leaving my apartment, 4 or 5 times a week. And now I'm stuck with I live with 3 roommates. I'm stuck with them all day, every day. So stuff happens, drama happens. We're all girls, so it's a little bit interesting. But professionally, for my field of communication, entertainment industry, and also the music industry is kind of all over the place right now. So professionally and also educationally, it's been hard to find, like internships or just like further. I've applied probably for like 50 jobs over the summer, like up until now, and like it's kind of hard to get anywhere with anyone in this time because everyone's in the same boat where it's kind of like I don't know what's going on, I don't know what's going to happen, so it's hard to determine where it's going to go. As for school, I really, 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 really strongly dislike online class. It's terrible, and it's like I feel like over the past summer and then also going into the school year, I've become like instantly more stressed than I've ever been in my entire life, and it's hard not seeing people in person. Like a screen seeing someone is not the same as like being able to like talk to them and like shake their hand, or like I don't even know about like hugging a person ever again, it's just it's hard. Also being 20 years old, like in a global pandemic, like I'm supposed to go to college for 4 years, I'm supposed to have fun and like party, and I can't do that when there's a pandemic, But your 2 cents.
Caroline, quickly, Caroline, because when we first met, as you were coming up the stairs, you actually shook my hand, and you're the first person in LA that's done that to me. Everyone else is like either elbowed me or like just I'm not taking visitors today. So thank you so much for that. It's really important. I don't know, because in Italy, where I'm from, after we were given our freedom on May 18th. I saw one of my best friends in the streets, and the double tap kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
It's like, So, anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. Caroline, same question to you.
Yes. So the pandemic has actually made my life a lot better, which is very interesting because obviously.
And how has it made your life better?
Well, I'm 20, and so obviously it's, the downside of it is that, again, like Emma said, I'm not able to, like, enjoy myself as a regular 20-year-old would in college, but the positives are just all of the creative projects that I've created and built within the last 8 months, One of which is a company I started and launched in May, and it's a digital magazine multimedia brand focused on music discovery, and it's called Off the Cassette, and we now have 16 people working for us all across the world.
Can you tell me a little bit about off the cassette?
Off the cassette. It's like off the record, but off the cassette. So basically, we interview artists and get to know them kind of outside of just the music. But I'm a lover of music and a musician myself, and actually another thing I've been able to do is make more music, and I now have a team behind my music, and I spend probably 8 hours a week recording and writing, and then obviously a large amount of time spent overseeing this whole project, and then on top of that, obviously I have my classes, which I honestly don't even really consider to be, a big piece of my day-to-day life, just because it's very kind of like, it's 1 hour of the day and it's so spread out that there's nothing that really, nothing really sits with me that is said in the online
It almost seems inconsequential at this point that you're actually doing the 1 hour of school.
Yes.
And seems that
It's pointless.
which is a follow-up. It's funny because this leads up to my next question that I mentioned to you earlier. It's like people have either been somewhat paralyzed and full of anxiety during the crisis or during this whole pandemic, and other people have reinvented themselves. So I guess what I'm seeing, like two best friends or two close friends, and with two of the same or similar or totally opposite. I'm sorry, it would be because you're not liking this.
Not loving it.
Yeah, because you seem like a hands-on, touchy-feely kind of person, which is what I am. This is the one thing I don't like about what we're going through right now.
Right.
I don't like Zoom AA meetings. They're totally impersonal, but I go to them anyway.
I think for me, the reason why I love it is because it's given me kind of a chance to do what I want to do and to take charge and create projects and people coming on board because they don't have anything to do.
Now, these people that are coming on board, do they know you? Or you just like kind of...
Well, I initially started the project with someone that I had never met in person.
Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
Because these people don't know, A, who you are.
Right.
How old you are, probably know what gender you are, but without having that initial face-to-face and say, she's a 20-year-old, what the fuck does she know?
Yep.
You know?
I think for me, the reason why I love it is because it's given me kind of a chance to do what I want to do and to take charge and create projects and people coming on board because they don't have anything to do.
Now, these people that are coming on board, do they know you? Or you just like kind of...
Well, I initially started the project with someone that I had never met in person.
Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
Because these people don't know, A, who you are.
Right.
How old you are. Probably know what gender you are. But without having that initial face-to-face and say, she's a 20-year-old, what the fuck does she know?
Yep.
You know? So you're using a totally different set of communication skills, which is basically just like putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and there's been so many cool opportunities that have come out of it too. I mean, I interviewed a DJ and label owner who also grew up similarly to me in LA, and we totally hit it off in the interview, and he ended up calling me a few days later and asked me if I wanted to work at the label. So I've also been working at this label, and we've been able to meet in person and stuff.
See?
Similar lifestyles, but it's like an ongoing joke that all these people are so important to me, and I don't know what I'd do without them.
Right.
But they're all people that I met basically digitally, including Emma. She actually wrote an article for Off the Cassette initially, and then we ended up becoming really good friends, realizing we have like the same love for music and film and culture, and then like forming this like bond.
Well, is it fun? So, okay, back to you, Emma, then.
Yeah.
So you write as well.
Yeah, so I I'm also a music lover. I have a radio show on campus through.
What's the name of your show?
It was, when it was on air, it was called Those with Selective Attention, because I'm kind of like scatterbrained in that sense, where I'll listen to a song for 5 seconds, get bored, and switch to the next song, where it's like a completely different genre. But I did that, and during the pandemic, they moved it online, and I actually missed the Zoom session where it was an info session on how to do it, so I never actually did it.
Okay.
So instead, I wrote album reviews for the station.
All right.
And I did that like probably twice a month, so I just pick an album that I've been loving recently.
Are you a music snob?
I have kind of become one, honestly, because being from California, and also Caroline and I have a similar music taste, but we kind of love like surf rock and like the alternative side of music, where I'm not a really big rap hip hop person, or like even pop. Like I really like don't listen to pop music.
Okay.
My like top favorite pop artist would probably be Miley Cyrus, because she's like
Miley Cyrus?
yeah,
she's
like,
cool though.
She's dope.
Yeah.
She's really cool. But yeah, very much like alternative indie side. And then I also
Can you who are you listening to lately?
Oh,
Who do you recommend listening to?
So if you want to get into like surf, like real core, like surf rock, that's kind of like beach punk, I would say like Swimmers. It's like SWMRS. Surf Curse, or the Growlers. I feel like is a good start off. It's kind of a divergence from Tame Impala and Mac DeMarco. If they had a love child, that would be like what I would.
Kevin Parker.
As. Yes,
Yeah.
love him so much.
I remember I was still living here at the time when I was listening to KCRW, and I was working in my studio, and it doesn't happen very often, but this song came on. I want to say it was Lucidity, and I had to stop what I was doing. So what the fuck is this?
Yes.
This is really good, and it's kind of stopped me in my tracks, and it was before that they had the streaming service app. So I actually called the station because I was afraid that I was going to miss, like the DJ was not going to say this is Tame Impala.
Yeah.
I said, what are we listening to right now? And I forget who the DJ was. I think it was Garth Trinidad. Anyway, he told me it was Tame Impala, and then I went to the iTunes store on my phone and bought the album.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I saw Tame Impala. I also am a big music festival person. Like I'm not like the Coachella girl. Like I have been to Coachella once, and I actually really hated it. I think it's like multiple. It's like we go with.
What music festivals would you recommend?
I am like a big lover of Outside Lands. It's in San Francisco and Golden Gate Park. It has like that combination of alternative, indie, rock, and then there's like a few pop artists, a few EDM artists, techno, dance music, food, like everything is amazing. I also just love San Francisco, so that's like definitely my vibe. But the other thing I was gonna say is that I also run a print magazine on campus. That's like a.
What's that? What's print?
I know, really. What is print? Like we don't do that anymore. What is that? Which is actually really affected like our magazine, like the pandemic and all of that. Like we printed our very last issue was issue 5, and that was the last issue that we'll probably print for a while now.
Okay.
So it was hard to transition going from print to digital because our website is kind of shitty, and so we've had to find people to kind of help manage that and make the magazine look like cool and digital and interactive online versus being in print. So it's not music at all. Like it's a little different from hers. It's kind of like fashion, lifestyle, and culture.
Okay.
And so I used to be very passionate about fashion going into USC, and it's not to say that I'm not now. I've just kind of.
Well, can I stop you right there? I'm sorry. Don't mean to interrupt, but when you started reaching out to me via Instagram, I went onto your page, and that's the first thing. Kind of like you did something with some shoes that you had on, and I look at the shoes first. Some people look at the.
Oh, that makes sense.
And for me, the shoes are not the eyes are like the windows of the soul. It's the shoes are like the souls.
You should put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
The shoes are
in quotes. Seriously,
I love that. Wait, that's actually kind of sick.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
Good. So, in actuality, you both have sort of reinvented yourselves while you're in school. Here's my thing. In a way, this whole pandemic has been a bit of a blessing. And the reason why I say that is because we have been given the gift of time. We're like, you know what? You don't have to go to work, or you don't or you can work from home, or you are taken out of your normal routine. And so what are you going to do at that time? And what I saw, Instagram, TikTok, and all the other social media platforms, who learned how to make bread, who
Watched Tiger King.
right
That was the beginning of the
right, or wrote a book, or
Yeah.
did something. And so I guess, like, if I had to assess it, where you guys fall on the spectrum, I think we were all overwhelmed at first. I was in denial. I don't know how you kind of, like, it was like, when they say, okay, you've got like a year to live.
Yeah.
And it's like, the first one is, no, I don't. So you're in denial, and then you're in, you get depressed, and then you're in acceptance, and then it's all
Well,
done.
for us at school, on March 12th, they kind of said, like, oh, early spring break, you'll be back in 2 weeks. And then we only took stuff for 2 weeks home, and then we couldn't come back ever again. Like,
Yeah.
it was very
we got
much
lucky
like,
because we're from.
yeah, we're close by, but everyone that was, like, across the country had to ship all of their stuff out. They couldn't go back into their dorms with their parents to move out. So it was either they went by themselves or they put it in a storage unit. Like, it was,
Okay.
you packed up for 2 weeks, and that was all everyone knew. And then suddenly we're gone for
Also,
6
like,
months.
getting your freedom, especially me, like, I lived alone at that point.
Yeah.
Now I have one roommate. But at that point, it was like, I'd just gotten my freedom of, like, having my own apartment and, like, being able to do and eat and whatever, stay up as late as I wanted and whatever. And then it's like, okay, now you're going and you're moving right back into your childhood room, and you're eating dinner
Yes.
that mom makes, and you're watching the movies that they pick, and it's under the rules of the,
Yes.
the parents again.
My
But
my house,
the
my
worst
rules.
part
So
is you
frustrating.
can't go outside and you can't leave to hang out with your friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And any phone conversation you have talking shit about the whole situation is being eavesdropped on. So it's
Right.
kind of like you have to have the acceptance of, like, okay, this is my life right now.
Like, suddenly I have chores again.
Yeah.
I'm living at home again.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, like, we ended up going to Montana for 2 months and spending time there, which was really nice and refreshing to be outside and being able to, like, do a bunch of stuff. Like, I learned how to golf and, like, still terrible at it.
I'd like to see that.
Stuff like that, where it was like
How was your swing, by the way, Caroline?
Hmm?
How was your swing?
my swing.
Yeah, your swing. You know, at the tee.
Oh, I was like, I don't even know what you're referring to. I literally am.
So you really just learned.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was more just like we're outside. I had a few friends fly out, and that was what we were doing with our free time. But yeah, it was nice to be able to, like, eat in a restaurant, which we could do there too.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Where
It
in
was-
Montana were you?
Big Sky.
Okay. Yeah. I have some
So-
friends that have actually either went to Idaho or Montana.
Yeah.
They went to their other. They got
Oh, and
away.
then-
They got away from it all.
Yeah, so the girl that I started off the cassette with, who I'd met once to do interviews with masks and everything,
Mhm.
she flew out and stayed with my family and we got this, like, real, like, bonding experience.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we were, like, online best friends
Oh,
at
nice.
that point in time,
All right.
which is just crazy.
So I'm seeing something a lot of like, pleasure and pain kind of a thing. Like it sucked at first, and then
Which is
adapt.
why I
We
say
adapt.
I'm okay with it. Not that I want to work and go to, live concerts, and I love people, and I love meeting people and having those experiences. But at the end of the day, the most, what you could do is just make the most out of the situation, and that's
there
what
you
I
go.
feel like I did.
Right, the glass is
So.
always half full, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And what's your glass like, Emma?
I honestly, like I said, it's all about adaptation and how we, like, as a society. I think our generation too, like Gen Z, is very much, like, politically, socially, and just very, like, aware and, like, woke, I guess, about everything. And so
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Here's my my take on Gen Z. You guys are gonna save the fucking world.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because when we're gone, and we're not gonna leave you a lot to work with.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are already on the right track as far as being, as you said, politically active, very, very aware of this planet, especially. And I look, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry that
Thank you.
I fucked it up for
I
you.
apologize for the room.
And I'm trying to do the best that I possibly can to leave it slightly cleaner
Yeah.
than the way I found it. But you guys got your work cut up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I do think.
Sorry.
I agree with
I needed
that.
to add that.
Of course. Thank you. No, I think like also like you can see on TikTok, you can see on Instagram, like especially like during quarantine when all of the systematic racism and all of the socially unjust and racially unjust stuff that's been happening has been coming up all over social media. Like it wasn't just a couple posts here and there. It wasn't just a couple tweets here and there. It was like an entire movement. And maybe that took an entire pandemic for us to realize we need to get our shit together and fix this like corrupt, socially unjust system that we have and we live on.
It all started with the shooting in Florida.
Yes.
All of a sudden, it just didn't go away. It wasn't just a news cycle, like 48 hours,
No.
okay, this happened, they died, and then all of a sudden they thrust themselves to the forefront of our nation. And the conversation, wasn't an easy one, because there was a lot of pushback. And what I found really exciting and brave is they pushed right back, even harder.
Yeah.
And then you had Greta.
Yes. Queen.
Right. And then you had the unfortunate incident with George Floyd.
Right.
And like all of a sudden, the people who are pushing BLM ahead and keeping it like at the forefront of our consciousness and zeitgeist, not people like me, not my age, but this really wonderful generation.
Yeah, like the school walkouts nationwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think without this generation, Biden would have won. And I think
I agree.
without everyone voting, he wouldn't have won. But
Yeah,
like, this
I
is
agree.
the most
Uh-huh.
politically active election. Like, so many people voted.
More people voted this election cycle than at any other time in our nation.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah. And, okay, the last question then. Because I was on a flight from Boston to LA 2 Saturdays ago, and it was JetBlue, so they had DirecTV, and I just turned on like MSNBC, and the Chiron was reading Joe Biden wins the election. And there was like this collective sigh of relief. I think on the plane, even
Is that
if
where you were when you found out?
I was on the plane, yeah.
Wow.
But I said, this is it. This is Harry Styles coming back from the future, trying to save the shit show
Yes.
that 2020 is. And it's starting off with this, and I think hopefully,
This is the first like good thing that's happened this year, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like if we're looking at it from like a grand scheme, like Biden winning is honestly like a spark of
right.
hope.
I think also just people really speaking up for what they believe in.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's not forget that like half of the country also voted for the other guy.
Exactly.
And no, and I'm not like writing them off by any stretch of the imagination, because I think it's important to acknowledge that like this is our country,
Yes.
and we are all in this together. And it's not a conspiracy theory when I say like this is what they want us to be doing to one another.
Mm-hmm.
They want the left
You want the separation.
to get mad at the right and vice versa, so that we can like argue again within or with ourselves, so they can basically take away our rights,
In one of my
slowly
classes,
strip away some
Yes.
of our rights, not all, but
It is, and like in one of my classes this year, which I just took a final for, we are talking about all of this. We're talking about surveillance. We're talking about human rights being stripped from us. Like, what are you talking about? We're talking about the aftershock of the election. Like, no matter the outcome of the election, there's still going to be like tons and tons of civil unrest and like this polarization of the left and right. That from this election, you saw the people that are supporting Trump are like really, really fucking supporting him, and like people that are supporting the left are really, really on top of it. Like, there's not really a neutrality that exists that used to, and so it determines, the future of democracy. What does that mean to us now? What is democracy? Like, do we have that still, or is it just a lost concept?
Right.
It's just a word.
Also being aware of your privilege and what you have, and
Exactly.
like having those conversations with close friends who are, on the opposite end with the political views and having to like come to that conclusion and have those mature conversations to kind of agree to disagree is really important.
I agree with you. I have friends that don't have the same political beliefs as I do.
Yeah.
And we kid each other,
Yeah.
but we don't like jam it down our throats. I respect their opinion or their views, and I tell them I don't accept it, but you know what? I respect you.
Yes,
Right.
Fine.
exactly. You're entitled to your own
Yeah,
opinion.
just don't proselytize, and don't put it in my face, and I'm not going to put it in your face. And I think you're a really interesting person. No, you're smart. I mean, you know.
Yes.
It's just that you believe in something entirely different than I do. That doesn't mean we can't get along. And I don't know. It's like I'm okay with that.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Gen Zs, because I'm sure not all Gen Zs are, you know, liberal or forward-thinking or progressive, and there's all kinds.
I'd like to think a lot of them are.
Yeah, the thing is, they are.
Yeah.
Well, they skew a little bit more, but you know, like, I believe that, as I said earlier, that I feel confident that like everything's going to be all right if we can just hand it over to you first. Eventually, not now, but I'm just saying, you guys are going to be the leaders.
Yeah. And it's all at the same time, you know, like even like us, like we're young still, and also like even the kids below us, like born above 2000, they're even younger. It's like they don't even have the age, but nonetheless the like capacity to like take over that kind of responsibility. So it is like a futuristic concept of us taking over the world once like everyone else is gone. But that's just how
Yeah,
it, you know, how it
true.
works.
So do you have any hope? Like,
I think with the pandemic in mind, like at first it was kind of just like this shock and like disbelief of what the fuck are we gonna do now, until it moved into kind of like, okay, like you said before, the earth is opening up, it's breathing, like wildlife, trees, everything is like, nature is like being restored. And it took that for us to kind of realize, okay, let's like fix the shit that we just did to the world.
you know, can I tell you something else?
Yeah.
I lived here for 13 years, and I've been here for about almost 11, and the air has never been so good here in LA. I mean, I know.
It's like the best in the world
Since
at
the
one point,
fires,
which made no sense to me.
Right.
It still doesn't, but it supposedly was at one point.
Well, you have like the Pacific off the coast, and then you have the mountains. Like,
technically makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like at the same time, I'm like, it's LA though. But yeah, that was cool.
yeah,
Before the fires, of course.
Yeah.
of course,
Shit
before the
is
fires.
hot.
But even now, I mean, even now, there's at least 30 or 40% less smog in the air, and
Yes.
I know that you also have air quality control systems in here that send you these texts saying,
Unsafe air quality.
air quality sucks today. Don't go out.
Yeah.
But we'll see you tomorrow. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Any closing remarks you guys want to make?
Gen Z for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I feel like whenever this settles down, and maybe it won't ever completely go away, eventually everything will restore its balance, and hopefully our generation and then generations to come after us will hopefully fix the planet so we don't have to move to outer space like in WALL-E.
They weren't
But-
even in. They were just floating in a
Yeah, ta-da.
big. Yeah.
So
Well, that's always been my biggest.
there is hope. I
Yeah, there is
think.
hope.
Yes,
And
I
it's
agree.
called Tomorrow. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
This was like amazing. I didn't expect to be doing this, but thank you guys. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Emma.
Of course.
Ciao.
Giovanni.